we have to lift up a story dealing with our dear sister, Simone Biles. She made a decision. Good for her. She made a decision that said, my worth, my value, my peace of mind is worth more than a competition or a gold medal. That's what she did. Following her decision to withdraw from competition for mental health concerns, she is now receiving criticism from right-wingers like, of course, Candace Owens, the biggest black white supremacist you know, and Piers Morgan, just a regular ass white supremacist. Here's what Candace said. Let's put up the tweet from Candace. Doing nothing is courage. Anyone who disagrees is a white supremacist. And then she does this repost from Seth Dillon. Simone Biles just said sitting out the big competitions shows how strong you really are. That's like saying soldiers who run away from battle are courageous. Cowardice is not courage. Weakness is not strength. Great athletes understand this. First of all, you big dummy. If you are in the US military, you have taken an oath, you are a combat soldier. If you are in combat, you have taken an oath to actually engage in that combat. I'm not a war guy, but it's not the same. You cannot conflate a voluntary competition with being in battle for the US military. And there are plenty of people in the military who ran away, to be quite honest with you. There are plenty of people who get scared. It's a human thing. This woman made a decision because of her health care. Now, this is interesting. This is actually inconsistent with Candace Owens' past. There was, remember the Osaka tweet? Let's go to it. This is Candace Owens saying that Osaka made the right decision. Mental illness is serious, and it is always an act of courage to step away to deal with personal issues. Emphasis on the word personal. It's becoming too fashionable for one person's experience to transform into a demand for everybody else. Wait a minute. Candace Owens is saying that making a decision about your mental health is actually a personal decision, good for that person, and then criticizing our dear sister in the Olympics because she's withdrawing from the gymnastics competition. I don't understand this. So it gets deeper. Prior to her support of Osaka, Owens initially criticized the tennis star, and what did she say? She's starting to get so annoying. Just quit tennis and become a full-time activist. You make millions and are now complaining again because you think you're a special snowflake that shouldn't have to do press conferences because they are a form of mental abuse. It's a real damn shame. Everyone from the Deputy Attorney General of Texas and others are coming at Simone Biles. I don't understand this. Dan, give me some context here, brother. What's happening?
There's multiple layers to this. I think there's an angle of racism, obviously. There's an angle of sexism here, but the main thing is mental illness. Right here, it's a lack of understanding in the United States and cultures as a whole of the impact of mental health and one's well-being. I think other gymnasts, other athletes were just talking about the impact of, the COVID restrictions that are happening in Tokyo, the weird feelings about the Olympics themselves, what they represent during this tragic time in the world history, the impact of not being able to have their families there as moral support during all these tough times. It's difficult, and it's really kind of interesting coming from Candace Owens, who, if you put yourself through the Cringe Fest, which is her interview with Joe Rogan, that infamous one, she talks about her kind of first origin story where she was in the center of a racist incident that was directed towards her in middle or high school because of, I believe, the mayor's son or something like that. And so she talked a lot about the mental health and trauma of that. And she also talked about the like viciousness of left wingers and things like that, and the mental illness and or the impact of her mental health there. But of course she's ready to turn on Simone Biles because that's where she collects her check. That's how she collects her money, is giving white right wingers an excuse to have their racism because they have a figurehead for that who also happens to be black. It's nonsense. It's like Larry Elder did it first, really, but like look at us now.
Yeah, and obviously Larry Elder didn't do it the best. Candace Owens is at the top of the pile at this point. The race to the bottom belongs to Candace.